Hello friends, Masha here. As quite a few of you have noticed, I was rather absent here on YouTube in September. Thank you to all who checked in. Your messages meant a lot to me. Let me just say I am very glad that September is now over and I am back here at Musings by Masha for this monthly installment for our hashtag Deck of the Year Project 2025, hashtag Deck of the Month feature for the month of September. Yes, September 2025 challenged me, and even though I felt a great amount of guilt as I do, I chose to take a break, not just from YouTube, but from most of my scheduled engagement and commitments. In the first week of September, I very badly sprained my toe, and one would think it was such a minor hiccup, but it didn't go very well for me, and I ended up with a split bone too. Look, daily walks are my non-negotiable for my physical health, but also for my mind, and I cannot function very well when I don't take my walks in the nature and also walk my dog Chappie. The worst thing was the pain, that kind of pain that I haven't experienced in probably 30 years. Not even with my back injury a couple of years ago, it wasn't that bad when it comes to the levels of pain. And I'm also not the one who would rely on painkillers, which I did my best to avoid taking until my darling husband almost forced me to take, as I couldn't sleep for almost a week. Well, once I didn't feel the pain, I foolishly decided to go for a long walk, which ended up in aggravating my toe injury much more. And now in the second week of September, I was forced just to stop, right? To stop walking and give my body the rest it needed to recover. Add to that a few stressors we had with the sale of our house in New South Wales and another delay with moving into our brand new townhouse here in Queensland. I kind of became an insomniac in what felt like an instant. So yeah, pain and the lack of sleep in their own turn quickly spiked my cortisol level, and with them brought in inflammation and aches, which I felt what seemed to be like everywhere in my body. So that was my second week of September, and it is when I realized my body was telling me to stop, to rest, and to focus on healing. In other words, and in my yogi language, my body was just telling me to take that yin approach, which I did. So while the pain and stressors didn't quite go away, because life is stressful, right? And pain was just a part of the recovery from my injury. But in the second half of September, my focus shifted onto reestablishing regular meditation and pranayama, which is breath work practices. I also returned back to quiet tea ceremonies and also to feeding my mind nurturing content through rereading my favorite books on yoga and Ayurveda, through doing reflective and intention setting spreads with my cards, along with journaling both on paper and digitally. And this is just my kind of new journal for the month of September that I almost filled. So now on the 2nd of October, I am happy to report I am in a much better place, back to my daily walks and my daily yoga practice, and my toe is healed, or at least 90% healed, but I am back to my regular movement. And with that, now I am grateful for the challenging month of September that I had, as it actually was a transformative one for me. But that's enough for this already lengthy life update. Let me now share with you the decks I used in September and the books I read. I will begin with an oracle deck, and the oracle that I used, one oracle I used throughout September, was the Kuan Yin oracle, with the words written by Alana Fairchild and the artwork by Zheng Hao. Absolutely beautiful artwork in this oracle, and this is a pocket version. It's published by Blue Angel Publishing. So the fronts of the cards featuring different personified versions of Kuan Yin, where on the backs of the cards we are given short guidance-like messages, which are always on point for me with this oracle. Now, Kuan Yin translates as the one who hears the cries of the world. And while often referred to as a goddess, Kuan Yin is a celestial bodhisattva of compassion. Kuan Yin is also a patron of the Zen and Chadao Center in Taiwan, the place where I first was introduced to Zen meditation and tea ceremony almost 10 years ago now. So I'm not a novice to the spirit of Kuan Yin, to the energy of Kuan Yin, and the male version, if you will, masculine version, Avalokiteshvara, and Kuan Yin, of course, is the feminine bodhisattva. And this oracle has proven to have been exactly what I needed for my morning pools, before my meditation, and before my yin yoga practices that I did in September. I also bought this book authored by also Alana Fairchild, and this book had been on my radar for a few years, and my September prompted me to finally get it, as I had way more time for reading than I allocated before my injury, of course. So reading this book encouraged further reflections on my part, and I found this book very healing. It's called the Kuan Yin Transmission, Healing Guidance from Our Universal Mother. In this book, Alana Fairchild discusses everything that is to be known pretty much about Kuan Yin, right? So she discusses not just the protections of Kuan Yin and the 33 more popular forms of Kuan Yin, but also she links Kuan Yin, the attributes of Kuan Yin, some of the attributes of Kuan Yin, to Tara, to the goddess Tara, and she discusses the green, red Tara, white Tara in this chapter, but also to Kali, to Isis. Now here we are pretty much with my favorite goddesses, and to Mother Mary as well. Then the practicum chapters, they outline healing practices, and from chapter 9, this part of the book is very practical, insightful, and detailed, and the book itself is beautifully written with the illustration, as you probably recognize from some of Alana Fairchild's oracle decks illustrated by different artists. And of course, here we are with the Zheng Hao, who illustrated this Kuan Yin oracle. And this is Alana Fairchild herself demonstrating the mudras for the mudra part of this book, for the hand gestures part of the book. Now, since I have started talking about my September books, one of the two tarot-related books which I completed reading in September was Tarot for Manifestation by Stephanie Caponi. This book got wet, just my water bottle leaked in my bag. I think it probably was on the 1st or 2nd of September, right? So I had to dry it, but we're not here for that story. Yes, Tarot for Manifestation by Stephanie Caponi. And this book was a great, inspiring, and rather an easy and entertaining at times read for me. And the cues in this book helped me a lot with intention setting and action taking. I found especially insightful, especially inspiring the spreads in the book, even though I modified them for my practice to fit my practice. How I did that? Look, these days I pretty much always modify tarot spreads that I get from kind of more popular mass market books, if you will, on tarot, good books. And how I do it is that I select the prompts that I want to use for my tarot readings, and then instead of pulling one card per prompt, I would draw 2 or 3 cards per prompt that I want to do my reading. So some prompts I will not read for, but for the ones that the book would suggest to pull 1 card, I would draw 2 or 3 cards. Look, and while this book is called Tarot for Manifestation, it does include chapters on shadow work, on intention setting, on gratitude and visualization. And these are the chapters that I especially enjoyed. So Tarot for Manifestation book. Which brings me to the tarot deck, which I used working through this book. And this is one of the 4 tarot decks that I got in September. The Goddess Tarot, created by Chris Walda. This tarot has been in print since the late 90s, from my knowledge. Those are the bags. I purchased this tarot deck specifically to use alongside with this book, as I wanted a kind of an irregular tarot. What I mean by that, I wanted the deck that had a structure of a tarot, but also which can act as an oracle, healing oracle, with the major arcana in this tarot being represented by the 22 universal goddesses from different traditions and from different pantheons. And I must say, with the age of AI we are now in, I am more and more drawn to the beautiful artwork done by the hands of talented living artists. And I especially love watercolor, which this tarot is. So yeah, with this tarot let me just find the major arcana just to kind of speak a little bit more. The major arcana is represented only by goddesses, right? So as I mentioned, from different traditions, from different mythologies and pantheons. So some would argue that having only feminine representation for the major arcana makes the tarot imbalanced with the lack of the masculine energy. But it was exactly what I needed in September, as I needed what I needed in September was yin, which is the reflective and receptive energies, which I got from this tarot, along with the stories of the goddesses, which I always find very insightful, very inspiring to read and to learn from the archetypes of the goddesses in different traditions. So Saraswati from the Hindu pantheon as one of the yogic goddesses, right? And but the minor suits, they are more balanced, and while they are associated with 4 different goddesses, they are more balanced when it comes to the artistic representation of the yin and yang, masculine and feminine. But the suit of cups is linked to Venus, Roman goddess of love and beauty. Just show you a few cards from each. The wands or staves they're here, or batons, are associated with Freya, the Norse goddess of fertility and creativity. So here you see, like, we have prince, we have masculine and feminine titles to balance out the energy. I've got something stuck here on 4 of staves. So prince and princess, king and queen. But here with the suit of swords, Egyptian goddess Isis represents the mind, and the suit of swords in this tarot. The borders are quite large, but I think with this tarot, for me, I find them actually complementing the cards, and we do see on that kind of closer border, we see the landscapes and sceneries. And goddess Lakshmi is designated to the suit of pentacles in this tarot. And Lakshmi, of course, is the Hindu and yogi goddess of prosperity and fortune. So see the construction resembling Taj Mahal in India. And of course, those beautiful flowers, and even flowers depicted on the coins themselves. Another suit of pentacles. So yeah, with the Egyptian Isis, Hindu Lakshmi, and Roman Venus in the main arcana, we are among my favorite mythologies. And I am rather happy with the suit designations in this tarot. And after working with it for a month, I can say I am a big fan of the goddess tarot. I also bought the accompanying 25th anniversary guidebook for the goddess tarot, also written by Chris Wilder, with foreword by Sasha Graham. I went for the cheaper uncolored version of the book, as I just wanted it for the reference, but I trust Chris Wilder. She did the color version, and she did it through Kickstarter. And if you're interested in the goddess tarot and about learning the basics, I guess, about the goddesses attributed to the cards, I myself found the book is great and very accessible, with very succinct information given. So if you have a look here, we given an introduction to the cards, what we see in the card, meanings, attributions, questions we may consider if we pull the cards, keywords, and also a few paragraphs about the goddess, right? The goddess represented on each card. So this book is great. So even though the Goddess Tarot was my main deck for the layouts I did, for the spreads if you will, I did, what I was also doing is pulling the same corresponding card. So if I would pull a magician from the Goddess Tarot, right, I would pull a magician from another tarot, and that another tarot was the Marseille Tarot. It was the Gassman Swiss Tarot de Marseille, or you can say Gassman Swiss Tarot if you kind of puristically don't call Swiss Tarot as more belonging to Marseille Tarot tradition. And this tarot, this Gassman Tarot, goes back to the original, goes back to the mid-19th century, and this one is one of the most recent decks released by Marco Benedetti. I do have a review of this tarot. So with the Goddess Tarot, I thought that the Gassman kind of had this warm orangey background that would go well with the Goddess Tarot, and in my view it did. So yeah, I would read these two decks side by side. So I would pull the card from the Goddess Tarot, and then I would pull the same from the Gassman, and then I would read them side by side, and then I would journal the messages I got from the Goddess Tarot, what I visually could draw from the cards, and then what I could visually draw from a completely different deck. I just adore everything about the Gassman Tarot from Marco Benedetti, the most delightful laid art paper, which is just a delight to handle and to listen to. I find the pink backs in this tarot absolutely adorable, and the colors from the master of color himself in Marco Benedetti are a visual treat as well. Marco also has rather reasonable prices given that his decks are handmade. And this one, for example, goes for 60 euro, and we're talking about handmade cards printed on vertically oriented art paper. That's the front and smooth back, so two sheets of two different papers glued together, and they also come in handmade box, also handmade, handcrafted by Marco Benedetti. I did mention in my review of this pink Gassman Tarot how I have a matching Labubu for it also. Look, I actually have two Labubus, in fact. And I'm curious, which one do you think matches the backs of this tarot the best? Very silly, I know, but as a couple of my tarot friends and I spoke about Labubus, I'm not the only one who likes Labubus, by the way, is that I can make the whole video titled Matching My Labubus to My Tarot Decks. Okay, moving on. Another new deck arrival for me in September was Minchiate al Leone, and this is a reproduction, a facsimile reproduction of the original kept in the Fournier Museum in Spain. Those are the backs. From memory, the first time I saw this tarot was on Aina's channel, and that's Aina at Taproot Tarot. I absolutely adore this facsimile, and I actually very much love very flexible, plasticized, very plasticized cardstock, which makes this tarot a good outdoor Minchiate for me. Now that we are in October, I can actually walk outdoors without tremendous amounts of pain. Yes, so this is a facsimile copy on the inexpensive, right, plasticized thin cardstock, which I love. But what's exciting is that, as I mentioned before, Amparo Aguirre will very soon be launching her campaign, and that's Amparo, who created the Bamarzo Tarot and who already made Al Leone, but more facsimile copy of the one that of the original that she inherited from her grandmother. But she will be releasing the restored copy of the Al Leone with gold embossing, and I think it will be absolutely stunning. I can't wait for that Kickstarter to kickstart so I can back. I might need to get two actually, because I feel so bad that, well, bad for me, that I was too late to get a backup for the Bamarzo Tarot, and I think Al Leone is my favorite now when it comes to the style and the wood blocks of the Minchiate Tarot of the earlier pattern. And that's because why I love it, because it's very special, right? While Al Leone, this tarot, belongs to the earlier Minchiate pattern, and I know most of you here follow the Minchiate series, so you know what I'm on about, EMP earlier Minchiate pattern. While this tarot belongs to it, it's rather special as the coins have faces on them, unlike what is more common in the decks like Alchini, right? In the decks that follow the earlier Minchiate pattern, we only have some kind of floral and petal details on the cards, and I very much adore the faces. And that's what I love about the later Minchiate pattern, is the faces on the suit of coins. Let me just find another coin for you to show you. Yeah, there you go, two of coins. So that's Minchiate Al Leone. I also received, next tarot deck I'll show you now, I also received Fairy Tale Tarot by Lisa Hunt. I haven't used it though, but this tarot has been on my wish list for a very long time, from the times when it was out of print. And these are the backs of this tarot. Why I got it? Because I mean, it was on my list, it was on my Amazon wish list, and I couldn't resist getting it because how cheaply it was priced on Amazon when I got it. So very discounted, given it's a US games deck, so that very rarely on Australian Amazon they're heavily discounted, but this one was very cheaply, in my view, priced. And I'm partial to the storybook like tarot decks, or the decks that are based on stories, mythologies, fairy tales. Because I haven't used this tarot, I'm very curious if you friends have this tarot and whether you have used it for readings. I have heard some people use it for shadow work, some people use it for inner child work. I haven't done either with this tarot, but I will be very curious to hear from you if you have this tarot and whether you have done any readings with it, and if you have, do share how it reads for you. Is the corresponding fairy tales and stories connected to these beautifully illustrated cards. Oh yes, one more. Sibylla. The Magic Lantern Sibylla, illustrated by Anastasia Kashian, with this incredible guidebook which I mentioned in the last month video, written by Caitlin Matthews. I had those are the backs. I had the best of intentions to dedicate September to Sibylla practice and do the challenge that was created on Instagram by Kate at Joyful Journey. And I did a few readings using the Sibylla, but those readings were rather repetitive as the same cards were showing up for me. But that is Sibylla for you, right? It's direct, it's on point. Sibylla is ironic, has a good sense of irony and humor. And Sibylla loves to poke. But in my experience, once I've learned a little bit of Sibylla, it never lies either. But look, yes, on the day when I injured my toe, before the injury occurred, I pulled the old lady card. And I really kind of didn't have a clue how to interpret like what would happen to me in the day. That was the card for the day ahead. I thought maybe I'll get a call from my mom, but really I didn't really see anything in this card. And little did I know that I would be feeling like an old lady stuck in the house for the biggest chunk of September. So that was one of the cards, and that also, when I did my pulls with Sibylla, I did it for the first probably a week of September, but I never posted because I just kind of didn't really want to put, I injured my toe, right? I had a crack in the bone of my toe, I sprained my toe really badly. But the doctor card also was showing up as a reminder, reminding like, well, because I don't really like seeing doctors, right? But kind of reminding me that I need healing and I might need some medicine. Sickness, yeah, that's another card that was showing up, in prison as well. So when you look at me as a patient, I am not this, I'm like that, right? When I am unwell, I feel like I'm chained in the house, I'm stuck in the house, and my month of September, I guess, can be described like that, with the element of that, right? So yeah, I did a few readings with the Sibylla, but more like pulls as per challenge, but I never posted those. So yeah, this was my month of September in decks and books. So the 4 decks I mainly used in September are these 3 tarot decks and an oracle. Now, when it comes to the times, the number of times I used them for, it's close to be a draw for me. But I have to choose the deck of the month, and I need to share with you my September deck in my bag. I didn't really carry a tarot with me, right, because I couldn't walk, but the deck that I had in September in my main handbag, in the car, everywhere I went, was the Al Leone, Minchiate Al Leone, which is my September deck in my bag. And not surprisingly, as for the deck of the month, this time around, it's the Gassman Tarot, Swiss Gassman Tarot, handmade by Marco Benedetti. I absolutely adore this tarot. I cannot get enough of it, and I thoroughly enjoyed using it in September. So that's Gassman. But over to you, friends. Which tarot and oracle decks stood out to you in September. Did you have a deck of the month? The deck of the month for September? Please do share those in the comments below. I have seen, I already put it on my watch list, that Ellen at Minchiate and Cara at Tarot, they made their September videos, September wrap-up videos, installments for our hashtag deck of the year project 2025, hashtag deck of the month. So that's where I will be going after my video begins to upload, and I will link Ellen's and Kara's video for you to watch as well for your September treats, back to September treats. Thank you all so much for your time. Your presence and your comments mean a lot to me. Now that I'm back, I should be back again in a few days with the next installment for our Mesmerized by Minchiate series, and it's going to be a fun one, and I hope to catch you then. Sending much love to you all. Bye for today.